Good evening. Welcome to This Moment Right Now Sports. We'll be discussing some baseball, some basketball, and a little bit of boxing. But let's jump right into it. Let's talk about baseball. Since baseball season just started, I'll give you my predictions. I'll give you key players to look out for, and we'll take it from there. Let's talk about the American League East, which some say is the toughest division. Who's in the East? I'll give you 5 seconds. I'll give you 3 seconds to try to think about that. I'll just tell you. We have the Yankees. We have the Orioles. We have Toronto, the Tampa Rays, and we have Boston. My prediction, and I'm going to give you my prediction. You may not agree. I predict the Yankees because of their pitching, because of Michael Pineda, from coming from Seattle, and with Andy Pettitte coming back. I think the Yankees have enough pitching this year to win that division. Of course, on the field and on paper, two different things, but it's always fun to, give your prediction. I predict the Yankees taking it, not because I'm a Yankee fan, but if you look at what's happening out there, they do have the pitching. Next in that division, I see the Rays. Their young pitching is going to hold up. They actually have young pitching, and they have Pena and Longoria. Both of them are going to be the anchors of that hitting staff 3 and 4. Hitting 3 and 4, they should be pretty good. Producing a lot of runs. Toronto. Now, Toronto is at an interesting point right now because they have hitters. They have hitters, but Toronto is one of those teams that have hitters. Toronto reminds me of what Texas was like years ago, when Texas had a bunch of hitters but didn't have pitchers. So Toronto is there. They now have the hitters. It's not just Batista anymore. They have the hitters, and if in a few more years, if they get the proper pitching, like Texas actually has now, they will be very dangerous. But I do see them taking third. Then I see Boston. I see Boston coming in fourth in that division, actually, because the pitching, because of a lot of things within. They hired Bobby Valentine, which I think that was a bad move. Definitely a step backwards from Francona. I think the problem with Bobby Valentine is that he runs it. Just his style. His style works for young kids and rookies coming up, but it really doesn't work with veterans on the team. And I see that team crashing heads with him because of his ways. He's very, Bobby Valentine. He's clownish. He's good for the back page, but he rubs people the wrong way. They lost a closer. Their pitching staff is questionable, and their hitters look old. They actually look old. So that's going to be interesting. I don't really see them, even though they have an incredible strong fan base. I don't really see it happening. But just so you know, they're actually celebrating this year 100 years at Fenway. Yeah, Fenway's been 100. It's going to be 100 years old this year. So that should be good. But the problem with the Red Sox, they're not what they once was. The mentality they had. Daredevil. The whole mentality. It's just not there. Cowboy up, which I hate saying. That mentality is gone. You have players who, just are there and, trying to make it work. And, of course, I think finishing last, I know, unfortunately, is the Orioles. And the Orioles, I used to live in Baltimore. And Camden Yards is such a beautiful park. That's actually going to be 20 years old this year as well. 20 years. Beautiful park. But, unfortunately, they can't get the proper players. The management is just about, filling the seats. So that's going to be a little rough to overcome. And that division, that's really rough. But it can be done because the Rays have shown it can be done. It's not about like the big contract. It's about just holding on to your players. Let's go to the Central Division. Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota, and Kansas City. Detroit. They are loaded for bear. They're a real deal. Look at your two corners. Look at your third and your first. Look at Cabrera on third and Prince. I ain't talking about Purple Rain Prince. I'm talking about Prince Fielder. The kid that was knocking balls out of stadiums when he was 12 years old. Well, now he's in Detroit. He's taking his bat to Motown, and that's real deal. In Verlander, the ace of that pitching staff. Detroit's always been dangerous, and I think they're going to be even more. I see them taking that division. I just do. I see them taking that division. Let's see who I see coming in second. I see actually Chicago. Robin Ventura is actually, Ozzy's out. Robin Ventura is in his first year as manager. Hopefully he can get those guys focused to do what they need to do. Finishing third, I see Cleveland. I think Santana, the catcher, is going to be big this year. I think he has a lot of promise. Pitching, they're going through their stuff with the pitching, but they have to find a way to work that out. Kansas City finishing fourth, not last but fourth. I think they got some pitching. I think a key player, Hosmer, he's their first baseman. I see him having a really great season. Hopefully they can hold on to him, because Kansas City is like farm. It's like Kansas City organization is like a farm system for the bigger team. So hopefully they can actually take some of that money, put it back into the team, and hold on to some of these players, and make it competitive. You know what I'm saying? Make it really competitive. And unfortunately, last, the other Twins, Minnesota Twins. But I tell you, the Twins are one of my favorite teams, and I'll tell you why. Because Gardenhire, he's a guy that gets the most out of the little that he has. You know what I'm saying? Like when they lost Johan Santana, or when they lost Torrey Hunter when he left. They still managed to make the playoffs. They still managed to make it happen. They have the M&M boys there who they haven't really been healthy. But hopefully they can get healthy and something can happen. But you got Pavano as your ace, and I don't really see Pavano's your ace. I don't really see much coming out of that. Hopefully, the Twins can do better. It's funny, since they got this in, they used to play in the dome, and now they're playing outside. It's like they haven't been the same. It's like weird. Like you think build them another dome so they can go back inside and play. But hopefully they can get that together, because Gardenhire is one of my favorite guys, man. So he's a good guy, and hopefully they can do their thing. Let's go out to the West. Texas, Oakland, Seattle, and the Angels. And we know who the Angels have. Yes, they've been blessed with Pujols, the man himself, coming from St. Louis, and he brings his heavy bat. I see. Wow, that's gonna be so wicked, because Texas is loaded for bear. They got youth. I mean, am I pronouncing his name right? The Japanese kid, young kid who was like a star out there, and he has a lot to prove. So Texas has been loaded for bear. And like I mentioned earlier, the thing about Texas is that Texas has always had pitching. They've always had pitching. Texas has always had pitching. They always scouted well and always brought young kids up, including Teixeira. You had Rodriguez. You had all those guys, but Texas never had the hitting. I mean, they never had the pitching. And I always said, if Texas got pitching, they would be dangerous. And that's where we are now today. Unfortunately, they have pitching now. Unfortunately for everybody else who's outside of Texas, they have pitching now. So that division, I see Texas taking that division, followed by the Angels. The Angels, they have Hunter. They have a lot of guys who are kind of past their prime, but when you have Pujols, you don't really need to knock a lot of home runs, just get on base. So they're pretty loaded. The pitching staff is really questionable with Weaver, and it's a lot going on with the pitching staff. But we'll see what happens there. Finishing third in that division, I see Seattle finishing third. They got my main man, Montero, and I am heartbroken the Yankees got rid of him, traded him, because that kid is the real deal. I think he's going to do well in Seattle. I just wish they didn't have to trade him for Pineda. Michael Pineda, 23-0, 6'7", fastball, but coming out as of right now, he's hurt. So there's a lot of questions on that, which is very frustrating, because I was a huge Montero fan and I followed him, and he's going to be an elite hitter when all is said and done. So Yankees, I think we made a mistake there. So my picks for that, we have Texas, Angels, Seattle, and then you have Oakland. Oakland, you don't know what they're doing in Oakland. I know Manny's coming back, and they have Colon, Bartolo Colon. He's joined that staff coming from the Yankees. We'll see what happens with that. Manny's not there yet because he's serving his 50-game suspension. So we're going to see what happens with that. But Oakland, they have players and they get rid of them. So it's always like a revolving door. More than any other team, they're a revolving door. So that's kind of frustrating. You don't know whether to root for them or just see what happens next. But yeah, that was my pick for the American League. Let's jump into the National League, which is very interesting. Let's jump into the National League East, another tough division. I say this. I think the National League East is just as tough as the American League East because of what's happened. And let me tell you who's there. You have the Nationals, you have the Braves, you have the Mets, you have the Phillies, and you have the Marlins. So let's jump into that. That is a juicy freaking league. That's a juicy division. Division. Let's talk about Washington. Well, let me give you my picks. I see Washington, the Nationals, coming out of that, taking that division, finishing first there. The pitching is phenomenal. Strasburg, they got Zimmerman playing third, who still I feel hasn't hit his prime yet. He's still very young. The Nationals are loaded. They're loaded. They're loaded. They got Gio from the A's. He's there now. The pitching's gonna hold up really good. Let's talk. And then finishing second, I think with Ozzy's team, the Marlins. I think the Marlins come in second in that division. Reyes is there now. Ramirez is moved over to third. The pitching is good. I see them taking it, going finishing second. Finishing third, Atlanta. Atlanta's always scouted well, and what I'm saying, they've always, they got Hanson, and they always done well. Atlanta's a funny team. They've always brought up good players in their farm system, but they just never really got over the hump. So I see them finishing third. I see Philly finishing fourth. Now you may say, how the heck is Philly finishing fourth? I will tell you this. Philly is a team that needs to win now. They need to win now because that pitching staff, as great as it is, that pitching staff ain't young. Holiday and Lee, those guys in their third, almost mid-30s. Philly is built to win now because 3 years from now it ain't gonna work. And the players are always injured, always there, here, there. So it's always. I don't think Philly's ever gonna win. I don't think Holiday's gonna win. I think personal goals and strikeouts, he'll get that. But as far as getting a ring with the Phillies, I don't think it's gonna happen. Especially with the way now that division is loaded with beer. Everybody's got better, except the team I picked to finish last, the Mets. The Mets, and I'm a Yankee fan, but I don't hate on the Mets. I think the Mets are. I think it's an unfortunate situation with the Mets. What's happening with them? But I think Mets fans, just hold on there. Just hold on there, and you guys got to get that us against the world mentality and rock with that and let that be. Santana's back. That's a good sign. You guys can, in the future, spend money now. And in that locker room, just have the mentality us against the world. Everybody's counted you guys out. Everybody's saying you guys are not going to make it. So, but I'm saying, man, as much heart as the Mets have, everybody in that division has gotten better. Miraculously better. I think even with the Nationals, they're going to be good for a long time because they have young, good players. But like I said, what I'm saying, it's not played on paper, it's played on the field. And the Mets just go out there and play. But those are my picks with the Mets finishing last, unfortunately. Let's look at the Central. Central Division. St. Louis, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Houston, Chicago. Well, this is like a 4-team race right here. St. Louis, they lost Pujols. They got Beltran from the Beltran used to play for the Mets. He's there now. You're not going to replace Pujols, so you can forget that. But I think they have enough pitching and enough oomph to actually get by with that. I see Milwaukee with Braun, who actually escaped the suspension for enhancement drugs, which I've never heard that before. I didn't know you can actually fight it and win, but he's done that. So I see Milwaukee finishing second. Pittsburgh is an interesting team. They have my man AJ Burnett. Let me say something about AJ Burnett. I need to say this because us Yankee fans, we're giving this guy hell, and we're like, I was reading the other day how when he was traded, the things people had to say and good riddance, and hope you suck. And this. Let me say something about AJ Burnett. You say what you want about the man. You can say what you want about him. He came to pitch every fifth day. And the Yankee fans, and I'm a Yankee. I'm not a Derek Jeter Yankee fan. I'm a '78 Reggie Jackson Yankee fan. So I know how the '80s went when you couldn't even fill up the bleachers and nobody came out. That being said, A.J. Burnett came out and gave it his all. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys dog it and just kind of, I've seen the Pavanos and I've seen the Arabus. We've seen that. A.J. wasn't like that. Now, for whatever reason, didn't work in New York. So be it. But to get out there and criticize the guy and tell him this, that, and the third, come on, man. That's not cool. The guy came to play. AJ, you know what I'm saying? I remember World Series Game 2, playing the Phillies. We needed that win. You got it for us. You know what I'm saying? You got it for us. That alone, I will always have love for you. I wish you well in Pittsburgh. And just go out there and rock. It didn't work in New York for whatever reason, but you know what? Hey, I appreciate all you did, and just good luck out there. So AJ's down with Pittsburgh. He'll be the anchor of that. He'll be the anchor of that pitching staff, and hopefully he should do better in the American League. Look, he should do better in the National League where he came from, because he'll be down with the Marlins. Usually pitchers who come from the American League to the National League have better success than National League pitchers come into the American League. So he should do well out there. Cincinnati is out. Actually, I see Cincinnati finishing third, Pittsburgh finishing fourth. And Houston and Chicago. Chicago, wow. I mean, they were very close to winning. I don't see them winning anytime soon. So, Soriano's, he is what he is, but he's getting old as well. I think they had their chance a couple of years ago, and I think they blew it. So those are my picks for that. Let's go to the West. Hey, remember this guy? He used to play for Chicago. Is that Sammy? I think that's Sammy Sosa right there. He used to play for Chicago. Kobe. That's me, Sammy. That's Kobe. West. LA Dodgers, Colorado, San Francisco, Arizona, and San Diego. I'm going to go out on them. I'm going to say my man Don Maddon's crew takes that division. The Dodgers with Kemp and Ethier, I see that happen. They have decent pitching. They have enough pitching to go around. After that, I see Colorado. And I always mess his name up, but I love the guy, man. Tulowitzki. I love watching him play. I see them finishing second. San Francisco, they have Posey back. The catcher who actually broke his ankle, I believe, last year. He's back. And they're gonna have pitching for a long time, but I just see them finishing third. I just don't think they have enough hitting to actually really do it. Arizona, with Upton and Ian Kennedy. Remember Ian Kennedy? Remember Yankee fans? Ian Kennedy. It was Ian Kennedy, Jabba Chamberlain, and Phil Hughes. Now Jabba's hurt, and Phil Hughes is questionable, and Ian Kennedy is like the ace of like Arizona. Remember that? Little Ian Kennedy. But honestly, it wasn't gonna work for Ian in the American League East. It wasn't. He doesn't really have. It just wasn't gonna work. And now, no pressure in New York. He can go do his thing. God bless him. Wish him well. He's doing his thing. So I see them finishing fourth, and San Diego finishing fifth. Give a lot up. You got a lot back for Gonzalez with the Red Sox, but at the same time, it's going to take a minute to get it together. But that is our segment on baseball, and we're going to be followed by basketball next.